Hello YouTube, we're switching gears. We've just about got everything done that we can do on the chassis before we put the body back on it. So we're going to switch to working on the body. And normally what I would do is wash the whole thing first, but I want to degrease this area, and the degreaser wants it applied to a dry surface, so I'm going to degrease first. They want that to sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Does it have gas? Well, that may be why it's not running. Huh? Okay, let's try this again. And now for a good old-fashioned scrubbing. We went bottom up on the chassis, and that worked pretty good. And I think we're going to go top down on the tub. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about underneath or surface rust I wanted to address, but I think we're going to start by taking the windshield off, and then eventually I want to put the tub on its side so that I can work on the bottom. Also, this firewall needs to be painted. This is all rust, so that'd be in one patch. There's a hole here that somebody drilled, so that has to be patched. This is all peeled back. This is all worn down to bare metal all the way up to here. There's nothing much going on over here other than the edges of the tub need to be painted. So I think the best way to do that is just to remove everything. We're going to take the heater out, we'll take the duct out, we'll take the master cylinder off, and we'll have just the firewall, and we'll paint just the firewall. That's just a glimpse into the future. But let's go back to taking the windshield off. Now I know we can fold it down, but we got to take it off. And I've gotten all these bolts out except for this broken one and one on the other side that was broken when the Jeep came in. So we're going to have to drill and tap this, and I like to do it when the bracket is in place. It helps me get the center of the bolt when I punch it, and that's the most important part, is getting the center of that bolt when we start to drill that out. And I can't stress this enough. This is the most important step. And what we got to do is get the very center of the bolt that's broke off. We want to be right dead center. Take your time. Okay, I'm going to do the other side at the same time. With an 1/8 inch hole drilled all the way through the bolt, we can step up to a larger bit. Let's jump up to a 7/32. Well, we can try an easy out now, but I don't think it'll work. Nope. Let's blow all the chips out. And see if we can run a tap through that hole. I think we can. All I need to do is snap this off. Okay, fixed. Now we can fold this windshield down. Now we got a Phillips here attaching the wire to the windshield. We got to get that out. And we'll pick the windshield up and we'll remove these front screws. Okay, here we go, last bolt. And it should now come off. Next thing I want to remove is the steering column. In order to remove the steering column, we have to get to these bolts and the bolts up in here. In order to get the bolts up in here, we got to take this duct off. In order to take this duct off, we got to take this aftermarket KC switch off. And to get to the screws on this side, we have to take the ashtray out. One ashtray bracket removes. Out comes the driver's side duct. And off comes the aftermarket fog light switch and its screws. The next thing I want to do is remove this steering column. I want to remove it because the bolts go through the firewall, and we're going to paint that firewall. I've removed the 4 screws that hold this cover in place, and we'll carefully try to remove it because it can be brittle and break. Okay, we got it. The next thing I want to do is unplug the steering column from the wiring harness, and that's just a jack that we take out. So now the steering column is unplugged from the wiring harness. Next thing I'm going to do is take these bolts out on the firewall. This plate is made up of two plates, one on the bottom, one on the top. And the two plates are bolted together. So let's take those bolts out first. The top plate has two bolts in it. The bottom plate also has two bolts holding it in. So what I've done is I've pushed from the outside, get these plates to start to move, and try not to break the gasket. It's still wet from being washed. And we successfully separated the gasket from the firewall. Now we got to get the column out of the vehicle. Now I'm going to take the 4 bolts out that hold the steering column to the bracket. What's happened is the mic has turned off. I was leaning against the side of the Jeep. The transmitter is in my shirt pocket, and when I leaned against the side of the Jeep, it hit the on-off button, so the mic turned off. So we're going to have to do voiceover from here on out. This is another shot of one of the 4 bolts that hold the steering column to the bracket. We have to take all 4 of the bolts out in order to remove the column, and then we're going to have to remove the bracket itself. Now we're removing one of the 2 bolts that hold the bracket to the frame. When we take the bracket out, we'll be able to remove the steering column from the vehicle, but the bracket has to come out first in order to clear the foot of the steering column. This will be our first attempt to remove the column. And what we find is that there's a second cable that's connected to the steering column that has to be unplugged before we can remove the column from the vehicle. With the second cable disconnected from the steering column, we'll try again to remove the steering column from the vehicle. We have to wiggle that out a little bit, but here it comes. Success. Well guys, this has been one of my shorter videos, but we accomplished a fair amount. We got the tub out of storage. We washed it, degreased it. We fixed the broken bolts in the hinges for the windshield. We removed the windshield, removed the dash pad, and remove the steering column. So I think we met our goals for this video. If you enjoyed it, there will be more.